This is Scott the Fix-It Guy. Our goal with our videos is to empower you to be able to do the repairs on your own and save a whole lot of money and also get that great feeling of having fixed it by yourself. Today we have a common problem for the Whirlpool or Kenmore top-loading washing machine where it won't agitate and it won't spin. You kind of hear like a clicking noise when it's supposed to spin or agitate. This is due to a broken motor coupler. It's actually pretty easy to replace. They're inexpensive and it'll get your machine going really good again. The reason they break is they get overloaded with maybe bathroom mats or blankets. So here's the procedure. It should only take you about 25 minutes.
We got our tools all laid out and we got it tilted back. You might want to put something underneath too to support it because you don't want that thing to come down on you. And crawl underneath here. As we look up, we can see some of these parts. That's the water pump, that's the motor, that's the transmission. And right there, I don't know if you guys can see it, that is our motor coupler. And if you look right where my index finger is, you can see the motor shaft, but you're not supposed to be able to see that. You're supposed to have plastic in front of it. So that's where it's come loose. So the motor's spinning, but it's never translating the spin. I'm sorry, that's the shaft from the transmission. It's never transmitting the spin from the motor to the transmission. So we're just going to replace that thing. What we do first is reach up and pull down on this clip that's holding on the water pump. There's one at the bottom here and there's one at the top. And then we can pull the water pump off. It's such a cool machine. It's so modular. It's fun to work on. And I'm just going to kind of fold this thing back out of the way. Got to remove a little screw here, 1/4 inch, and there's one at the top so we can get these clips off. It's going to allow us to pull off the motor. First though, we'll come over here. We're going to remove the modular connector for the motor. I'm going to lift up on this little thing and wiggle this connector back. The other way you can do this procedure is you can pretty easily remove this cabinet and get to it, but for time's sake I like to do it this way. It's a little faster. I'm going to also remove this little gray wire. It's on a spade connector. So now we're disconnected from the motor for the water pump and for the power. Now we're going to get off those two screws. There we go, that one came off. Okay, now we want to get these things off by prying them off with a standard head screwdriver. And I'm going to pry off the bottom one first. Show you guys what it looks like. Just going to put the standard head screwdriver in there and then I'm going to twist it and that should pry it off. Okay, now that it's off, I'm going to twist it, get this thing out of here, out of the way. And the only thing holding up this motor, it's kind of heavy, is this top one. I'm going to do that same technique and I'm going to be ready to catch the weight of this motor. That top clip just came off. I'm going to kind of wiggle the motor and pull it away from. It's connected by these motor mounts. There's no. Alright, here it comes. There we go. So that's the motor. And that is the coupler. So it looks like the rubber piece is okay, but the plastic piece goes on the shaft. Yeah, plastic piece broke for sure. The rubber part's okay. So we're going to put that new one on the transmission shaft first. Here's a new part. New ones I think are built a little bit better. They have like a metal insert, so some parts of it is stronger. The part that failed today probably won't fail because of this metal insert. So get that on the motor, on the transmission shaft, and okay, looks better. Maybe a little bit more. You don't have to use a socket. You can use whatever will get you a little further down in there. So now we're going to do the fork, the one that goes on the motor. This, you can see a little bit easier now. This shaft is a certain shape to allow that to go on. And then it's on there, but you can see it has to be tapped on a little further. So that's good. That's nice and flush with the surface of the shaft. Perfect. So now we can add the little rubber piece. Brand new rubber piece. Put that on. This fits on any of those holes. And if we look at the motor, this is the top of the motor. Let's put one of the open holes at the 12 o'clock position. And then there's another open hole at 8 o'clock and 4 o'clock. So that helps when we put this thing back on. Also, there's 4 little rubber feet. 2 of them are still stuck on the motor mount. I'd like to put those on the motor first, and then I'll put the motor back on. This is kind of the tricky part because you have to line up the forks that are on the transmission into these holes. A little tricky. So we're going to get this ready. I'm going to take these guys off of the motor, the transmission motor plate, put them on those stems to get that ready. And this part, we're going to get this ready. So I'm aligning the transmission one. So this is at 12 o'clock and this is at 8 o'clock, 4 o'clock to match the one on the motor. So I'm going to put the motor on there, and then that motor mount is the rubber piece is gonna fit on these forks, and those rubber feet on the motor are gonna fit in these holes. And I'm gonna try and finagle it around. Once I get it, I can put these clips back on. Okay, so this part, again, a little tricky, takes a little practice. Be patient. Get that over in position. Get oriented first. Lift it up. Get kind of more underneath it so I have more leverage. Push it up. I can see what I'm doing. I can see how this is lining up. Pull it away a little bit. I've lined it up a little bit better. That looks good. I'm going to grab it by the shaft here where the water pump hooks up. Turn the motor. Oh, that just lined up pretty good. And these got that lined up. I'm confirming it by turning it. I can see the motors turning here at the transmission, and the shaft's turning, so I'm good. I got my little feet in there. Now I just got to get these clips back in. I got the motor where I want it. I've got this top clip almost ready. So what I want to do now is I'm going to put my fingers on top of the clip. I'm going to push down pretty hard, and it should pop on. Yeah, that's good. So that's holding it on. Do the same thing on the bottom now with this clip. I'll show you guys what it looks like. So there's one on top too. If you notice the angle, this one's here, top one's here, so the top one is over a little bit when you're trying to guide that in. If you guide it in at the bottom vertically, then you turn it, and then you can slide this thing up. So you push with 2 thumbs, and it should click in. Got it. All right. Put this back on. So there's a gray spade connector here at the top. Put that on there for the overload. That's it. We'll put this modular one back in. We're going to push it. Make sure it's locked in tight. Good. All right, almost done. We just got to add those screws back in and put the water pump back on. Got it. We'll do one at the top. hopefully when you do this, you're going to not be cramped like this. You'll have more room. And the other option again is you can remove the this whole white cabinet pretty easily, and it can give you a little bit better access. But I like to actually tilt it up like this because for me I can see better what I'm doing. Doing that last screw. Alright. When we put on the water pump, we have a little clip right here. We're going to put back in to get ready for the water pump. Put the water pump back where we want it. And it has a slot here that the shaft has to go into, but the shaft has a certain shape to it. It may not be where you want it. So if you want to turn the shaft to match what the water pump's doing, you can do it right here with your thumb. You can move it into position. I think they match pretty good now. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get that on the shaft. Push it all the way in. Those little feet click into the motor. And now I'm going to put the upper one on. So I'm just pushing it over, just clicked in. I'll do the bottom one. Be a little careful when these click in because they click in with a lot of force. You don't want to crack the plastic. So I'm going to kind of gingerly put it in there. Got it. Okay, that's it. Let's go test it out. I'm just going to tilt it back down and see if it's happy. I'm going to put this little white piece back in. It just helps with cooling. It's not a super critical piece. Yep. Okay. Really cool thing about these machines too is they have a self-leveling feature in the back. So to self-level in the back, you just lift up and it'll level itself. Let's see, plug it in, make sure it's gonna work. So we have it set right now for spin. Turn it on. There we go. And that's the sound you want. Instead of that tut 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 tut, you want that sound. And we can see it spinning great. So what causes these problems is when something heavy is washed, like blankets or bathroom mats, and it's the motor's trying to turn it, but it's just too heavy, and that's what breaks the motor coupler. So I hope that helps you and you get your machine going, and please subscribe when you get a chance. Oh, one last thing. You can hear that clicking sound? That's the sound of the lid switch. On this model it lives over here, and it is doing great. You always want to hear that. If your machine ever won't spin and you don't get that click, it just means you have to replace the lid switch. Alright, again, thanks for watching. Good agitation now. So we have the motor coupler back in there. We can hear it. That's great. Alright, go to spin.